Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, a personal pan pizza of crime.
Ooh.
This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. Hey, Trevin.
What up, girl?
It feels like it's been a minute since I've seen you.
It really does.
So what is your dreadful dilemma this week?
My dreadful dilemma is a confession, but I just recently started sleeping with the enemy.
What?
I have been working a little bit with AI.
Oh my God. How so?
I was doing some writing, and I've always heard people use it for writing in bad ways and stuff. And I thought, it'd be kind of cool to see what ChatGPT can do. So I didn't write anything with it, but I was taking it and just using it to check my grammar sometimes. Because sometimes I'll have a sentence where I'm like, yeah, the wording of this is just really driving me nuts.
Yeah.
You can just say, yo, how's my grammar? And then paste it in there, and they'll say, oh, it could use a little bit of work here or something like that.
Yeah, no, there's some helpful things.
Yeah, there are sometimes those hard grammar questions that I'm like, I think I know, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
But there's been a problem with it.
Oh, no.
Because I've been addicted to the compliments
Oh, my
that ChatGPT's been giving me. I was sitting there this morning doing a quick read over of today's story, and this is what ChatGPT said. Your passage is entirely grammatically correct. Good job. And so I'd look over at Emily and say, hey, my passage was entirely grammatically correct. They said, you're incorporating nostalgia and some humorous elements. Good job. And another thing they had said was, I'm going to say just plot point so I don't spoil anything later.
Yeah.
The plot point adds depth and intrigue to the narrative.
Oh my God.
So it was kind of addicting because I wish I could tally up how many points I got every time they tell me I did a good job. I just felt so smart, and they were really winning me over.
My mind is blown.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it would praise writing like that.
Yeah, this is the validation I've been needing this whole time.
No. Yeah, I feel like we both need it. I'm sure it's kind of similar when you read something to Emily. I know we've talked about this, and it's kind of similar when I read something to Jordan. They'll maybe laugh, but it's like the, huh.
Yeah.
You just feel like, what the hell? Did you not hear what I was trying to convey? The atmosphere I was trying to create.
And it's like, yeah, but it's your humor, and I see it so much, I'm tired of it.
I know. So, okay, God damn it. Now I need to get praised by ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Okay, I might have to do it. And that does sound like a really dreadful problem, though, because now you're going to do it all the time, aren't you?
It's going to start manipulating me because it won me over.
Oh, no. Don't let it have that power.
Well, I just do such a good job.
So, Trevin, I also have a dreadful dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be about something else, about traveling with children or, getting sick over the holidays. The list goes on and on and on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I ran into a predicament today where my husband needed my car that has the car seats for the girls in it, and I needed to get over here to record.
Right.
So I was left with the dilemma of what to do, and the only vehicle available for me was my husband's work truck.
How have you solved this in the past? Like, you've had this happen before, right?
Yeah, we've always had some other option.
Okay.
I don't know. It's always worked out in the past. But today I decided I'm going to take this truck. But for any of our longtime listeners or anybody who's gone back and listened to our first few episodes, should know that I should never be allowed to get behind the wheel of a truck, maybe ever.
The reckless reverser.
Was that what it was called?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yes, The reckless reverser story. So yeah, I totaled a cop's car in a truck. I crashed into 2 separate friends' cars while driving in a truck. And I also had the story where I tried to outrun the police because the truck ran out of gas. So it's just not good, right?
Right.
I'm happy to state, though, I made it here safely, no complications.
Oh, good.
The only thing that was dreadful, though, about it is that driving in a truck is terrifying.
Because of all the respect you get on the road?
I did get more respect.
Okay.
People would wait for me to move. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Kiss the ring.
Yeah, kiss that truck.
Now you're feeling the power of it.
I felt the power, but it's a lot of responsibility. And it's really scary being up that high.
Yeah.
I was at the height of the gigantic Amazon vehicles. I was actually taller. It was so scary. I thought the wind was going to knock me over. I felt like I just have really bad depth perception in trucks. And I feel like I don't know how much room I actually have. It was just a really scary ride, but I made it here. I made it here just fine.
I totally get what you mean. I'm kind of the same way with the depth perception of it too.
Yeah. If you're not used to it and you're used to riding in a small car or SUV or whatever, and you get in a truck, it's not normal.
Yeah. I feel like I'm on like stilts or something.
Yes.
Driving on wheel stilts.
Oh my God. So this week, we are going to be doing a round of top 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Top 5. And I'm going first this week.
Bring it.
So normally when I do top 5s, or really any segment, I was just kind of telling Trevin, you're usually more of the one that kind of just does like these random little cutesy ones here and there, right?
Yeah, I just like things that I find weird.
Yeah, and they are weird still, but I don't know. I sometimes go there, but this week I'm going there again, okay, everyone? So,
welcome to my territory.
I am coming to you all from hijinksicecream.com.
Wow, the website alone.
Yes, it's a good one.
Cutesy.
And I want to tell you guys about the top 5 weirdest ice cream flavors, and I want to know if you would try each and every one.
Oh, this is fun. I wish you had them all here right now.
Would you?
Fuck yes.
Oh, well, let me tell you what they are, and then you can tell me. Number 5, glowing jellyfish protein infused vanilla ice cream.
Yes.
Here's a photo. It's glowing.
Oh, I love it.
This is a UK-based ice cream company, and they took an innovation to the next level with their glowing jellyfish protein-infused vanilla ice cream. The secret behind the glow-in-the-dark treat is a synthesized version of the luminescent protein found in a jellyfish. When licked or agitated, the ice cream emits an eerie blue-green glow.
And it doesn't add a flavor when you do that?
I think it's just vanilla. It doesn't talk about a taste at all. It just talks about it glowing. But could you imagine what that would look like in your stomach?
Oh, yeah. So I would say yes to that. I would for sure do that. Not afraid of a little jellyfish squirt.
Let's see about this next one. Number 4, cicada ice cream.
Oh. Mabel is like deathly afraid of cicadas.
Is she?
Oh, yeah. If she hears that sound, she gets so scared.
Oh, my cat likes to kill them and bring them inside and play around with them.
Ugh.
Yeah, he's creepy. In 2011, Sparky's Homemade Ice Cream in Columbia, Missouri,
Okay.
so very, very close to where we live, made headlines when they released their cicada-flavored ice cream. We need to try this.
It's not made with cicadas. It's just flavored.
This limited edition flavor, so maybe it's already done, featured locally sourced cicadas that were boiled, coated in brown sugar and milk chocolate before being mixed into a brown sugar butter-based ice cream.
Oh.
Though it may sound unappetizing to some, this daring creation sold out within hours. What?
Well, I'm sure if it's just probably something crunchy with brown sugar and chocolate, I'm sure it's great. Just do potato chips, you know?
Yeah, it's a potato
Not no
chip.
bug.
I know, it's like the crunchy shell of a cicada in there.
That makes me sad. I don't think so.
So you'd say no to that one.
I would have done it if it was synthesized flavoring, but not if they're going to use real ones.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Number 3, pickle ice cream.
Okay, yes, I would. Yep.
You would?
Yeah, I'd try that. That pickle liqueur we had, I thought was very salty, and I actually didn't like it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, I don't know about this. So, pickle ice cream was first introduced by the ice cream store located in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I don't know if I pronounced that right. But now you can find this uncommon flavor across the country. But I guess that's where it first started, according to this site. Don't quote me on that.
I love pickle flavored stuff.
Really?
Yeah, when it's desserts, it's a little weird.
I wonder if it was kind of created because of the whole pregnancy craving thing that people say, oh, that she was craving pickles with ice cream, like, you know, like the weird little thing. I wonder.
My aunt's boyfriend likes to bring weird foods to Thanksgiving all the time.
Oh.
And it's been like his thing. Ever since she started dating him, he brings something weird, and that's like the talking point. This last year he did, I think it was like a pickle Twinkie pie or some shit.
What?
I was like, you know what? I like pickle stuff. I'll give it a try. I cut me a tiny little piece, and right before I went to go take a bite of it, I inhaled a little bit, and I could not stop coughing. And I had heard him say something to somebody about adding the vinegar to the pie. And I thought, there's vinegar in this pie?
What?
So most of his stuff he brings just gets wasted.
I don't blame you guys. I would steer clear of that.
I like dill, I think is what it is, but not the vinegar part of pickles so much.
Wow. Well, I'm curious to hear, because you said no to the cicadas. You probably are going to say no to this, but also you have a weird vendetta against this creature, so I don't know.
Horse.
Number 2, horse flesh ice cream. Japan's basahashi ice cream, also known as horse flesh ice cream, is made with actual raw horse meat. This has sparked debates over ethical concerns and food safety issues. Despite its controversy, this daring concoction remains popular at some specialty shops.
Yeah, I think just as a sign of dominance, I would do that, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. If you've heard other episodes, Trevin has a thing against horses. I don't quite understand it, but to each their own.
They creep me out and they're smug.
I would definitely not eat the horse one, okay? I would be more willing to eat the cicada one than the horse one.
It sounds more appetizing.
And then, are you ready for number 1?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Lobster ice cream. Okay? Brought to you by Ben and Bill's Chocolate Emporium in Bar Harbor, Maine, lobster ice cream features chunks of real lobster meat folded into buttery vanilla ice cream. I guess the invention or the origin story of it's kind of lore. Like, no one really knows why or how it came, but some people say that it was invented because a customer quipped that the main parlor's menu offered every flavor but lobster.
I would try that. And that
I
sounds
would.
really interesting too, because if you went more extra with it, you could do like, because you know when they do the peanut butter ice creams, they do the peanut butter ribbon in there.
Oh.
They could do like buttery ribbons.
Yes.
Or they could do like a cream cheesy sort of a thing to go with the lobster. And then
That's true. Honestly, I don't know why that was their number 1. I mean, it is weird. Like, that's obviously any sort of meat with ice cream is weird, but I don't know. To me, lobster is supposed to be really buttery and ice cream's kind of buttery, you know? It's weird, but it's not as disgusting to me.
yeah, let us know if you think that's the weirdest and that we're weirdos, or if you think that shouldn't have been number 1, because I just think everybody thinks like we think, you know?
No, that's definitely not the case, Trevin. So you would eat 4 out of the 5, was it?
Yeah, and honestly, I'd probably try the cicada thing, but I wouldn't be very happy about it.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
I like to just try different foods.
I would probably try all of them but the horse. The horse one just is weird as hell.
It is weird.
The way they described it, like raw horse chunks, I'm like, ah!
Like I said, if I didn't have anything to prove, I wouldn't do it. Well, it looks like you and I might be on similar wavelengths this week.
Did we finally come back to one another?
I think we might have. Let's see how the stories go. But I actually want to talk about food as well.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about the top 5 food scandals.
Oh.
It's basically scandals with restaurants, mainly.
Okay, this is juicy.
I'm also going to be taking out number 1 because number 1 has to do with murder.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you look it up if you want to do it.
Okay.
But I don't think that's as fun, so we're not doing it. I'm also coming from antproject.org.
Shout out.
Number 5, the radioactive oatmeal.
Oh, God.
Abandoned as a child, Fred Boyce was one of many sent of what is now called the Walter E. Fernald Developmental Center, an establishment for people with developmental disabilities. Aspiring for a better life, Boyce joined the Science Club, which was entitled to a free breakfast. Little did the students know that their oatmeal contained radioactive tracers. Fed to more than 70 kids, this experiment was part of a nutrition study that MIT and Quaker Oats sponsored. Although this happened in the 40s and 50s, it wouldn't come to light until the 90s when Boyce and others affected received a sizable settlement.
So did it say how it affected them at all?
This little thing isn't going into that much detail of it. I mean, all of these would be very interesting episodes on their own. Number 4 is Subway chicken, now with 50% chicken. In 2017, a Canadian news program conducted a DNA test on Subway's chicken, finding that the chicken in their oven-roasted chicken sandwiches were only 53.6% chicken, and that their strips were only 42.8%. The rest was mainly comprised of soy. Subway argued that the report was 100% wrong, reaching out to 2 independent labs that found less than 1% of soy in the samples. Subway proceeded to sue CBC Marketplace for $210 million. The thing is, I'm not really getting a full story on who was really right here.
Right.
When they say independent labs, it's pretty easy to get your own independent labs.
That's what I'm saying. I do remember people saying something about the meat at Subway not being fully real or something, but okay,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know it was exactly that.
I feel like most of us probably did hear this briefly, but as fast as our news cycle is, you just lose it.
Yeah.
They also said that the other lawsuits with the Jared stuff kind of made this one not be as noticed.
Okay. Wow, Subway. You've got a lot of shady shit.
Number 3 is the finger licking lawsuit. So in 1964, Colonel Sanders sold KFC, and he continued to just kind of act as their spokesperson. Sanders wasn't pleased, though, as his image was being used to sell new products that he didn't create, namely a cheaper recipe that replaced his classic chicken. Sanders decided to open a new restaurant, Claudia Sanders, the Colonel's Lady Dinner House. KFC's parent company, Hublin, pursued legal action, but the Colonel wasn't one to surrender. Sanders retaliated with a $122 million lawsuit against Hublin, eventually reaching a settlement. Sanders went on to sell the Colonel's Lady restaurant, where the original recipe is still served.
Oh my God, that's a lot to process.
I think that's really weird to call it the Colonel's Lady restaurant. It makes me think of like a Miss Pac-Man version of KFC.
Yeah.
But I did look it up. It's like a very fancy home. We have Stroud's over here.
Yeah.
It seems very much like that. It's like a big old fancy home, and they do the real chicken cooking and the big helpings of green beans and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So if you love KFC, but you think there should be a 5-star home version of it, you should go to the Colonel's Lady restaurant, Claudia Sanders.
Sign me up.
Number 2, and this is another reason why I think we're on the same wavelength. Europe's food industry was rocked in 2013 when horse DNA was found in beef burgers and lasagnas across various grocery stores. At the center of the controversy was ABP Food Group and its subsidiaries, most notably supplier Silvercrest. In addition to supermarkets, horse meat was linked to Burger King, which had over 500 chains in the area. Burger King conducted DNA tests that found no traces of equine in their products. However, small trace levels were found in 4 samples from Silvercrest plant. This led Burger King to cut ties with them, and they say that the paperwork of Silvercrest showed that they didn't deliberately get horse meat, but, they still got it.
Wow.
So bring on the horse meat talk.
Oh my God, that is bizarre that we both talked about that. Wow.
And then number 1 is the expired meat scandal of 2014.
Oh God.
In 2014, it was reported that Shanghai Husi Food Company had supplied expired meat products to Burger King, KFC, McDonald's, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, and Starbucks in China. The tainted meat also reached other countries such as Japan. Conducting an undercover investigation, a reporter found Husi employees processing meat after touching it without any gloves and dropping it on the floor. By July, Husi had lost its key clients with the factory seizing operation amid legal troubles. Although Husi is Chinese-based, it should be noted that the parent company, OSI Group, was founded in Chicago, presenting a global issue that many people forgot about. That's the ominous ending of it.
Whoa.
Another thing that somebody could probably tell you a whole episode about, that would be cool.
God, I hate that. You just never know what's in the Trevin?
You just don't. And it's scary because it's still a business.
I know.
And you know how people run businesses.
But I am at least glad that when these things have happened, that people have been reported and things have actually been done about it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be even worse if it was like, yeah, and they're still going today and absolutely nothing was changed. It's like, what?
Does not make you feel good.
For sure.
And then if anybody was really itching to know, apparently there was a murder in 1997 called the fast food killer.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to talk about it. But if you want to look it up, there you go.
Yeah, that's not our specialty around here, okay? The petty lawsuits and weird meats, that's more us.
Yeah, we're the horse meat show. Thank you.
Well, you know what we're not going to try and sell you today?
Lobster ice cream.
Or horse meat. But check out these ads. And we are back, and it is my week to go first with our stories.
Ooh-wee.
I know a lot of our news stories have been recent, but this story, I'm actually going to take us back to the 90s.
Oh, wow. I was actually just recently trying to find something in the 90s because I just wanted to do 90s. I don't think I found one that I liked enough, but...
Are you kidding me?
I was just feeling 90s.
Oh my God. Well, here we go because I've got one for you. Endless mistakes can be made on any night out partying. You may lose your keys and have to walk home. You may lose your mind if you see your ex out with another.
I thought we had something.
Or you could even lose your dignity the following morning, realizing there's a stranger in your bed.
Morning, beautiful.
The chances of any of these bad choices happening increases infinitely when that night out partying is the product of a bachelor party. Stereotypical bachelor parties are a rare look into the unhinged side of manhood. They are nights filled with unlimited alcohol, non-existent morals, and aggressive hollering.
I'm finally gonna lose my virginity.
It is a time for toxic males to shine and unresolved feelings to explode. For the lucky attendees, these parties become nostalgic memories to reflect back on when their family is being annoying.
Honey, can you watch the kids while I make dinner?
But for the not-so-lucky bachelors, these parties can lead to long-lasting pain and suffering. It was September 1996, and just days before 38-year-old physical therapist Paul Shimkonis was set to become a husband. He had a few important tasks to complete before his big day, including getting a haircut, writing his vows, and of course, celebrating with his boys. Paul's bachelor party was due to take place later that evening in Clearwater, Florida, but that was all the information he was given. Knowing his friends, Paul figured the night would probably take a wild turn. He chugged some Gatorade and popped some aspirin in order to ease the blow from his future hangover. Soon, it was time for Paul to meet up with his bros. He put on his nicest pair of denims, popped the collar on his polo, and gave a goodbye kiss to his bride-to-be.
Now, Paul, don't do anything stupid tonight. I mean it.
His bride yelled her final warning as Paul opened the front door. Don't worry about a thing, babe. It's just a casual night out with the boys. I love you, Paul said, reassuring his stressed-out fiancée and blowing her a kiss. As soon as he stepped outside, a large party bus pulled up. Over the loud music, Paul's friends greeted him with warm welcomes.
Sup, pussy?
Those jeans make your dick look super small.
Riding to the next location, the crew of bachelors shotgun beers and talked more shit.
You need a sippy cup for that beer?
They were all feeling very intoxicated by the time the party bus stopped at its destination. Paul drunkenly stumbled out of the bus with his boys, looking up at the neon sign on the building. It read Diamond Dolls, the name of a popular adult entertainment club. You dirty dogs! I wondered if you'd take me here. Paul drunkenly slurred to his friends. The men high-fived before entering into the booty bar. Stepping into the Diamond Dolls Club, it smelled like a mix of old cigarettes and sweet perfume. The floor was covered in a mauve carpet, and the lights were kept dim and mysterious. Paul and his friends found a table towards the front of the main stage and took their seats. The men drooled and stared at the dancers as they performed their sensual routines. While the dancers twerked, twirled, and teased, Paul and his friends emptied out all of their wallets. It had already been quite the show when the DJ announced the next performer.
Next on the stage is the curvaceous and flirtatious Tony Peaks.
From behind a glittering curtain, a vivacious woman with wavy hair and full lips walked out confidently in heels. Yet there were two features that made Tawny stand out from the other dancers. Her pair of unnaturally large 69HH sized breasts. It was clear to all the onlookers that these boulder boobies weren't God-given, but they sure thanked God that they got to see them now.
Hallelujah!
But before Tawny Peaks began her performance, she spoke into the mic.
I heard there's a lucky bachelor out there who needs some extra special attention tonight. Where are you, Paul?
Before Paul could stand up, his friends had already shoved him on stage. Tawny Peaks instructed Paul to take a seat by scooting forward and resting his head on the backrest.
Now close your eyes, Paul,
Tawny whispered as dance music started to play. Paul sat back, not knowing what was coming next, when Tawny stood above him, straddling his legs. However, instead of a seductive lap dance, Paul felt a sensation quite opposite of his expectations. Out of nowhere, Paul took multiple blows to the head from Tawny Peaks' giant breasts. He tried to escape the big bosoms, but it was too late. Paul was trapped inside an aggressive motorboating. The pummeling continued, rocking Paul's drunk head from side to side, until eventually, Tawny Peaks stood up and began to dance. Once Paul was free from a face full of human airbags, he gasped for air and looked around. To his shock, nothing looked the same. In Paul's vision, he only saw black and white stars. Tawny finished out her performance, and Paul stumbled off stage. But the rest of the night, Paul felt like he had been knocked silly by some big old titties. 3 months had gone by since Paul's bachelor party, yet he was still in pain. He had been too embarrassed to confess what had happened to anyone, but it was at this point when he finally made an appointment with his doctor. Multiple appointments and treatments later, the bills came due for Paul's doctor's visits. He was stunned to see the price on the bills and reflected back to the night of his bachelor party. Blurry visions of his friends laughing as he was motorboated by 2 enormous yabos replayed in his mind. Paul seethed in anger and decided right then and there he wouldn't get knocked around this time. In September of 1996, 38-year-old physical therapist Paul Shimkonis had a bachelor party. He and his friends celebrated at Diamond Dolls Adult Entertainment Club in Clearwater, Florida, days before his wedding. Once inside the club, Paul was offered a special dance on stage by a performer named Tawny Peaks. Reports state that the guest of honor was requested by the star to sit low in a chair, resting his neck to the back of the chair with his eyes closed, to be specially entertained by the star dancer. Then, Tawny Peaks, who boasts a 60HH bust, jumped up and slammed her ample bosom into Shimkonis' head, rocking it backwards. Paul himself described being motorboated by the star, saying, "I saw stars. It was like 2 cement blocks hit me." Paul claimed he was too embarrassed to see a doctor for 3 months, but even after he did, He was still in pain from the experience 2 years later. That is when he sued both Tawny Peaks and Diamond Dolls for not paying his medical bills. He requested they pay him $15,000 due to the following: bodily injury, disability, pain and suffering, disfigurement, mental anguish, loss of capacity for the enjoyment of life, medical and related expenses, loss of earnings, and aggravation of pre-existing conditions or disease. The case was taken to New York and onto the television program The People's Court. With celebrity judge and former mayor Ed Koch presiding, he ordered a female bailiff to examine Tawny Peak's breasts in private. The bailiff found the breasts to be soft and to weigh about 2 pounds each. Additional findings also showed that the breasts were 20% silicone and the rest were natural. Koch ruled that they were not dangerous and refused to award any damages to Paul. In 1999, years later, the woman known professionally as Tawny Peaks had retired from the business to start a new life. She explained that she had her size 69 HH implants removed and underwent breast reduction surgery. However, it didn't mean that the implants were out of her life entirely. She told reporters she had recently came across the implants in her closet after watching a television discussion about crazy things sold on eBay and was quoted saying, "Why not? I don't need it anymore. Somebody might bid on it. It's like the first boob to be sued over in a lawsuit." Tawny Peaks said she would autograph the auctioned implant for the winner, but would keep its mate for good measure. Not all bachelor parties end with injuries or televised trials, but apparently some do. It may sound fun to party it up with the guys, but I urge you all to make good choices, because there is a fine line between attending a peep show and falling into a booby trap.
Now that is a pun. So did they say how much she sold it for?
So a lot of the articles, because I never saw what it ended up selling for, the implant, but at the time of the article, and I can't remember when it was written, I think it was 1999 is what it said. 3 people had bid and it was up to $71. But hey, that could have just been the start. Who knows? Maybe that was just getting it started and maybe the bid went way up.
That's why you kept it not so spelled out.
It was pretty unremarkable, and I didn't know if that was the total, so I was like, I'm not going to put that in because I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm sure that implant didn't cost her $71.
Oh, I am sure it didn't. But I thought that I was going to be able to find this People's Court episode.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't find it anywhere. So if anyone out there listening somehow can find an old People's Court episode about this guy and this whole case, I personally would love to see that.
That would be cool.
I just got the writings about the episode and the writings about the event. And then when I just looked up Tawny Peaks, I was done with the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked up Tawny Peaks to try and see what she really looked like again. And that's when I found the follow-up article about her selling the implant and all these things. And I was like, I want to put that little update in there.
Yeah, that's really cool. And a funny way to have the story end is that it did get dug up.
Yes.
Wow.
It's kind of a very sexy and racy story, but
yeah,
I had to do it.
I didn't see that going that direction either. I really thought Diamond Dolls was going to be pan.
Oh, you did?
I've seen those things where the women have the abnormally large breasts and they look like they could do some damage. But when they said only 2 pounds, I thought, man, that's it?
I know. That's what I was thinking too. I don't know how they weighed that, but when you see the picture, I mean, they are gigantic. But also, when I read the list of all the things that he said he needed, disfigurement, come on, you dramatic dude.
He should have probably kept it a little more tame.
Yes, if he just had bodily injury and then he had just the receipts, but he was asking for $15,000 and was acting like he was on death's doorstep from getting motorboated by some titties.
Yeah, most people would just say thank you and go on.
Yeah. I get if you did get injured. Sure. I think that people should get reimbursed, but also, I mean, you're going to the People's Court?
Yeah.
That's a production all on its own.
I bet you watched a lot of People's Court.
I've watched a couple. My main thing was my dad used to love Judge Judy.
I knew you were going to say Judge Judy.
Judge Judy was my jam. That's what I usually watched. But you're going to a televised court program that has a celebrity judge, right? They had a bailiff actually examine the breast. Like, this is not a normal court hearing.
Yeah, obviously not.
What did you expect, dude?
I love it. I really wasn't sure if there was going to be some sort of a real crime happen or not. It was just a suing of big boobs.
Yeah, that was it. And he wasn't even saying, oh, she assaulted me. You know, it wasn't even like that. I don't know. It was just such a silly one. I was like, I have to do this.
Yeah, it didn't come off as assault. It came off as just like the experience of your business caused me a little bit of discomfort and I want to sue the business.
Because I'll never be able to experience joy again.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
And this was his bachelor party.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if I was about to marry somebody and they were whining about, oh no, boobies made me hurt. I'd be like, all right, we're not going to do this thing.
I know. I would have loved a follow-up like, did he actually get married? Did he have pain all through his poor little neck during the ceremony? Did they get divorced? Are they still together?
What if he really was that dramatic and they're trying to do their vows and he's like, oh, guys, before I read this, I just want to say that if my neck doesn't look as straight during this, it's because I was brutalized by a couple of boobs. Now on with my wedding.
I could see it. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, tone it down.
And this guy is a physical therapist.
Yeah, it's a good point. You did say that and it did shock me, but then I got distracted. Yeah.
He's
you
a
think he should know the
physical
right
therapist.
stretches and things to do.
Physical therapize yourself.
Yeah,
It's not like
therapize
you broke
yourself.
your neck. There were no breaks discussed. Like, come on.
I wonder if his job somehow gave him the confidence that he thought he could get away with that.
He's like, I'm a doctor.
And I know what a little bit of bad physical therapy can do to disfigurements. Or whatever it was he said. Was that what he said? Disfigurement?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was one of the things. I know. Honestly, yes, I can see your point of like those gigantic knockers probably could really damage somebody. But I can also see how he is like dramatic as hell.
Yeah, I strain my neck every night.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And you're not running to the People's Court. Okay.
Yeah. It's like he just wanted to brag in front of a few more people. I want physical proof anybody can look it up and know that those touch my face.
I had some gigantic boobies all up in my grill.
High five, high five.
Yeah. Oh my God. Also, I had to look up photos of the business, and there was like a video, a brief one of them talking about some workers or whatever that were there. So I did see the carpeting and all that, but I have still yet to be inside of a strip club.
Honestly, same.
Oh, see, so I had to ask Jordan, I was like, would they announce somebody if they were like a special star to this place? And I had to get so many insider knowledge. And I was like, would it smell like cigarettes and sweet perfume? Like, I just kept asking him the most random questions about strip clubs. But I ended up going with that because he just told me that it felt like shame. And I was like, how do you describe that?
It's a thing men feel every day. We really should have done some research together and knocked that out during New Year's Eve, but missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity.
Maybe we'll do that for Patreon one day.
Let's do it. We'll be like, we finally did it, everyone. We went to a strip club. Here's Trevin and Amanda's night out.
Honestly, I'd like that.
I would like it too.
Well, I have a story this week.
Okay.
I have some connections in mind, but there might be something more literary that I haven't picked up on.
Okay.
They're not the best connections, but they'll do. But I think you could do better, maybe.
Okay.
So this week, I'm going to stay on the theme of food with my top 5. And you know how we love food on this show.
Oh, God, do we?
So I hope you're not hungry.
I am.
Because I am too, actually. So I'm going to torture us all with this delicious tale. And here we go. You may not know it yet, but you are currently in a long-distance relationship. No, not with that random internet pen pal you had back in 2006. although they still check your live journal religiously, hoping to speak with you again. This relationship is actually not with a living being at all. I'm talking about the love affair between you and your long-distance restaurant. What is a long-distance restaurant, you ask? Good question. I actually made it up and couldn't think of a catchier name, so I'm not surprised that you'd wonder. The long-distance restaurant is an eatery that, through one way or another, has lost contact with you. Maybe you had to move away, the company shut down, you only ever experienced it on vacation, or the worst option of all, they rebranded and changed their recipe, making them an imposter of who they once were.
I'm never eating here again.
Whatever the reason of your separation, the long-distance restaurant is just as much a memory as it is a brick-and-mortar establishment. The only place where nostalgia and fine dining meet. If you're lucky enough to enjoy its cozy atmosphere and one-of-a-kind flavors once more, you'll be faced with the task of deciding if it's as good as you remembered. While others may never get the chance again, as their dining halls are forever lost to time. Everybody's got at least one of these restaurants. For me, there is one very specific Cajun place in Chicago that I visited while on a boys' trip. I don't remember the name of it, and there wasn't an obvious sign to get in. Honestly, part of me believes I made it up. I just remember taking a big escalator up into some random building. The food was amazing. Jambalaya, Creole, gumbo, and the piece de resistance, a spicy little number on the drink menu, the Cajun Long Island. Now, I think I've made it clear on this show that I'm a bit of a Long Island connoisseur. And let me tell you, this drink kicked like a mule at soccer practice. The beverage was a typical Long Island, but mixed within the rest of the liqueurs was a nice, healthy shot of 151 rum. Every single one of us saw the limit 2 per customer asterisk under its name, and we had to have it. Our lips burned as our brain cells died. We kept ordering more and more spicy Cajun food with our refills. The more we drank, the more our flirty waiter would sit at our table and hang with us. It felt straight out of a movie. We each ended up having 4 Long Islands. One of my friends later ended up crawling out of their fancy bathroom on his hands and knees.
Guess who's drunk?
It was good times. A cherished restaurant like this can be made from so many different things. Maybe it connects you to a simpler time. Maybe the food really was that good, or it's just attached itself to a core memory. Whatever the case, we all have an eating experience that we would love to have again because something about it really changed us. Today, I'm going to introduce you to a man who sought out the taste of yesteryear on a quest of divine fortune and flavor. How far would you go to taste the spice of life once more? You may find the cost of such a meal is everything. The Australian job landscape was very diverse in the year of 2015, but from day one, everyone knew what career path Reese would take. When he came out of his mother holding a crescent wrench, it was clear that he was destined to be a tradesman.
It's a boy.
Jesus Christ, honey, how did that get in you?
From that point on, Reese would be found taking apart household appliances and retightening clamps on plumbing pipes. There was no trade that he couldn't do, and after graduating high school, he made it official by becoming a certified tradesman. Reese essentially got to be his own boss. The pay was good, and no 2 days were ever the same. He would just keep his cell phone close at hand, and when someone called needing a trade performed, he just made sure that he answered it.
I need a tradesman.
Leaky pipes, blown fuses, HVAC issues, you name it. With Reese on the job, you could consider any trade properly traded. The life of a tradesman wasn't all creepy crawl spaces and clogged toilets, however. Sure, the money was great, and the employment situation was even better, but the good life of trades and residential repairs came at a price, and that price was a whopper. At the time of Reese's graduation from the Australian Trades Academy, he had a big opportunity on his hands. Either join the pool of already talented tradesmen in the Darwin area, or move 1,000 miles away to corner the market in a town called Derby. It was an easy decision for a hot young tradesman on the rise. Cementing himself as the preferred repair guy for the area would automatically make people his customers, bringing him plenty of clientele and less of a need for good marketing. 15 years later, Reese still looked back on that day as the day everything changed. Every morning, as he walked into his office, he admired all the achievements that lined his walls. There was the key to the city, the Tradesman of the Year award, and his cliché family photo with him and his family all dressed in the same matching pajamas. With each morning, Reese slowly walked down the line of photos and plaques, chronologically reliving all the steps and choices he made along the way. He had taken a young man's hobby and turned it into a grown man's legacy. But at the end of his daily walk down memory lane, he always stopped at one frame photo, the one thing he had to leave behind in order to create his destiny. "I wish I could have found a way to bring you with me," Reese would say to the picture frame. "I tell my wife and children that I wouldn't change anything about my life, and they're everything I want. But truth be told, I'd let them all go for one more evening with you." Each time he would give this very specific speech to the mystery photo, Reese would finish by kissing the glass and wiping the lip smudge clean with his thumb. "You were always the one. Always the one." Staring longingly at the photo frame, placed slightly ahead of his family portrait, Reese waited for his first trade of the day. "Right on time," he thought to himself, opening the door for the stranger. "I need a trade performed on my property," the man explained, sitting down in front of Reese's desk. "Mr. Tradesman, last night I had a dream, and do you know what that dream was?" Reese stumbled on his words, void of a response, as the stranger went on. "I dreamed of my property having the trade of a lifetime performed. And in that dream, my savior, it was you. It would literally be a dream come true for me if you would take on my important trade needs." Reese gave out a soft, airy laugh as he panned over the frame he had just kissed mere minutes ago. "You know, all this talk about dreams coming true kind of got me thinking about a dream I left behind." Unsure of why his service call has led to Reese's backstory developing, the stranger stepped aside to give the tradesman his moment. "Have you ever had a Whopper, Mr. Chode? You can call me Mr. Chode," the man replied. "But no, I've never had a Whopper. What is it?" Reese flipped the picture frame around, revealing a magazine cutout from the Hungry Jack's Whopper meal. The Whopper is the lead burger for the Hungry Jack's franchise. If you've ever heard of Burger King in the States, Hungry Jack is the Australian version, literally the same company. It's just a different name. It's a madhouse. Back when I was a young pup making a name for myself in the trades, I lived in the same city as a Hungry Jack's location. After every tradespeople mixer, late night service call, or even the occasional booty call, I knew Hungry Jack's was there for me. Whether I was eating my feelings or rewarding a good job I did, the Whopper was my love language. With its flame-grilled 4-ounce beef patty, sesame seed bun, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, pickles, ketchup, and sliced onion, I knew nothing on this earth could hurt me. I had the Whopper on my side, and I was invincible. Reese dropped his chin down to his shoulder as he slightly wept to himself. Mr. Chode rested his hand on Reese's as he continued on with the story. "I let it all go. I made the move of a lifetime and I let it all go. Your town was my golden ticket, a chance for me to start anew. All I had to do was bring my trades knowing ass to Derby and I could have wealth, power, the perfect home, and the perfect family. But it came with a catch. You don't have a Hungry Jack's for 1,000 miles. No one told me the weight of this sacrifice until it was too late. Now I just keep doing this work because the money is good, and I have to keep feeding these dumb kids. I know there's a better life out there, but it's out of reach for me." Annoyed at the exposition overload he'd just encountered, Mr. Chode stood up. "Listen, son, I don't really have time for all this. The work starts Monday. Please be my tradesman, and for God's sake, get yourself a Whopper." Reese accepted the job and took the rest of the day off. The Whopper of regrets he was feeling needed addressed if he was going to do any quality work on Monday. The troubled tradesman drove home, wistfully looking back on his past. Late night Whopper runs with the boys, the many Whoppers he ate Lady and the Tramp style with dates, and the time he found a human thumb in the Hungry Jack's parking lot.
What the hell?
There were so many of his core memories tied to their delicious meals. "I've got to do it," Reese said to himself, pulling into his driveway and grabbing his phone. He opened his Facebook Messenger app and clicked on Terry the truck driver's messages. "Yo, I need your cross-country services. If you bring me 8 Whoppers, I got big cash for you." Later that week, Reese was meeting Terry in a secluded parking lot and picking up a cold bag of days-old road burgers from Hungry Jack's. He brought the Whoppers back home, where he could pour himself a glass of Chardonnay for the occasion. The second his teeth sunk into the sesame-seeded bun of his first Whopper, Reese let out a powerful moan. This was everything he needed to feel joy. Room temperature meat patty, soggy ketchup-retaining bun, and stale fries. Of course, it wasn't as good as he remembered, but the memories it triggered made it all worth it. Reese paced his Whopper rations so that he could eat his last one on the Monday of Mr. Chode's big project. He felt any weirdness experienced during the first meeting would be forgotten if he could bring a new attitude with his work. The following Monday, Reese pulled up to Mr. Chode's property. He parked in the remote parking lot and looked down towards his floorboard.
Don't worry, you tasty Whopper,
Reese said, tapping on the top of his lunchbox.
I'll come back to you at lunchtime.
The rest of the morning was spent with Reese doing his tradely business. He used tools, hammered with hammers, and welded things that needed welding, until all of his labor amounted to more than Mr. Chode's bill. This strenuous work was building up Reese's appetite. Reese dropped his tools and sang the Whopper song all the way to the front door. The last Whopper on a Monday was the perfect way to keep a hard week going smoothly.
Whopper, 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 Whopper,
he sang to himself as he pushed the door open to get outside. But the song in his heart quickly stopped as Reese noticed the door to his truck ajar and a person hanging out.
Hey man, get out of my truck,
Reese yelled, slowly approaching his driver's side. The stranger finally noticed Reese, backing out of the truck quickly.
You better not have stolen anything,
Reese again yelled, trying to use one eye to examine the truck and the other to watch the man. Nothing of value seemed missing from the work truck, but the more he looked, the more the man began inching away.
I said don't go anywhere,
Reese warned, looking back at the man. But with both eyes back on the intruder, that's when Reese saw what was stolen. There, in the thieving hands of this random man, was the light yellow wrapper of a Hungry Jack's Whopper.
Let's think about this a little, shall we? Don't do anything rash here. I can pay you,
Reese squealed, doing everything in his power to have his Whopper returned to him.
Please, don't take this from me.
With Reese pleading for his burger's safety, the thief stopped walking and turned to face him.
Yes? You're going to give it back?
Reese asked, amazed at the kindness this criminal was beginning to show. The man looked directly into Reese's eyes as he slowly set the burger on the ground and began removing his pants.
What are you doing?
Reese screamed. The thief kicked his pants and underwear off to the side, pulling his shirt over his head. With no words exchanged, the now naked man bent down, picked up the Whopper, and continued walking off with his new snack. Reese took a good look at the man's buns as he escaped, remembering the hamburger buns he would lose forever. In November of 2015, a naked man was arrested and charged after stealing a Whopper from another man's car in Derby, Australia. According to PerthNow.com, the burger belonged to a tradesman who had organized to have multiple Whoppers delivered to him from Darwin, over 1,200 miles away, just days prior. Derby police stated that the local individual forced his way inside and took the Whopper. When confronted by the tradesman, the offender removed all his clothes and walked away. Officers apprehended him on a street a short time later and charged him by summons with stealing and disorderly behavior. No names or punishments were publicly disclosed. I guess there's nothing more powerful than a long-distance restaurant, huh? One can only assume that the thief also had a strong connection to the flavors of Hungry Jack's. And to respond to this thievery by removing all of his clothes? I can't think of many confrontations where that feels like the right move, but I respect it. Whatever the reason behind this random naked man's acts are, it really gave me the chance to have these thoughts about restaurants. We don't really understand the love we have for a restaurant until it's gone and you're abruptly reminded of it in conversation. If you don't believe me, bring up those Buc-ee's gas stations to anyone who's ever lived south. They'll start destroying things and lighting it on fire, all in the name of their brown beaver godhead.
For Bucky!
And I don't judge. Buc-ee's is awesome. I too have those restaurants that awaken something deep within me. If you told me a Cajun Long Island was in the car near me, I'd at least consider breaking in, stealing it, and then stripping naked. It's the least I could do to show the memory just how special I find it. Because there's no better showing of appreciation than trespassing and hanging dong.
Oh my God. First of all, I thought Whopper was only a Burger King thing.
So Burger King and Hungry Jack's are the same company.
Okay. Because Hungry Jack's, I'm like, do we have those in the U.S.?
No, we don't. I explained it in like one sentence in the story.
Oh, I must have missed that part. Okay.
It's the same parent company and everything, but for some reason, they're just called Hungry Jack's in Australia. But literally, it is a Whopper.
Okay. That is dedication first of all.
Mhm.
I thought that part was exaggerated or...
Again, like our stories are kind of like two truths and a lie. What part am I lying about? That was
Yes.
true. The guy, I mean, I don't know how he got a hold of it. I thought about doing like a spy sort of thing where he was just making a black market sale of it. But in the articles just said he had a friend deliver him a bunch of Whoppers
Okay.
and one was left in the vehicle. It wasn't until later that I thought more about it and was like, oh, he was probably on a job and that's why it happened.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But I love the whole idea that he just couldn't live without, you know, like this was his favorite long distance restaurant, which you need to coin that term.
Your
Trevin.
LDR, like a long
Yes.
distance relationship.
Yes. Long distance restaurant.
It's a real thing.
No, it really is. I can think of a few. I can think of one that is no longer in business. I can think of places that I like in different big cities. Yeah, it's a real thing.
And you have a very strong opinion of it.
Yes, always.
Just listen to how you've perked up talking about it. You're like, I have many.
I have these.
And I'm sure everybody listening, they have them too.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it. I could see people doing some weird things to get their cravings filled, okay? But the naked part.
That is the thing that is the weirdest. Well, it's all very odd. But the naked guy is weird because they never said that he was on drugs. I have to assume he was. For humor's sake, I'm going to pretend he wasn't on drugs and that he was just like, oh, you want to take this from me? I'm going to do something so fucking weird that you're going to leave me and this burger alone.
Right. Right. Which maybe.
Yeah, but he was probably on drugs because it was like in the middle of the day. And they said it was a very sort of remote town.
Okay.
So I'm guessing he was on a job working at a property. And then, yeah, I guess the guy just kept walking with the burger and made it a couple blocks and they found him in an alleyway just naked with the burger. But yeah, they didn't give his name. We've done plenty of Australian stories and they've given names.
Yeah.
So maybe the laws in Australia are kind of province set or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Sometimes I feel like people just don't think the crimes that we tell they're not that important, obviously. Sometimes they just leave things out. I don't know about a name though. Damn, I loved that we both kind of talked about people getting naked.
Yes, we talked about naked people. We had both stopped at a part where I messed up and we had decided that men's kisses.
Men's kisses. They both blew a kiss, which I don't know why in my mind a man has to blow a kiss like this.
It's like, it's more feminine to blow your kiss in a circle
Yeah.
way. So a man has to do like a big rectangle.
Seriously, I don't know. It just made sense to me. I don't know why.
When your instincts went that direction, I automatically picked up where your brain was going. And I was like, this is silly, but I like it.
So we both had men blowing weird kisses and boobs and burgers, really.
Boobs and burgers.
Holy hell. I mean, this was kind of a wild one, Trevin.
This was a wild one. And if you want to humor me, I have a thing I wanted to share to tie this whole episode up.
Oh, yes. Do tell.
To go back to my dilemma,
Uh-huh.
I was really loving the responses I was getting back from ChatGPT.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So I copy and pasted this entire story I just told and said, would you give me a critique of the story? So I'm going to give you the full review of the story you just heard straight from AI themselves.
Oh, my God.
This story has a unique blend of humor, nostalgia, and absurdity, making for an engaging read. The narrative explores the relationship between people and their favorite restaurants in a playful and relatable way. The inclusion of personal anecdotes and vivid descriptions of food experiences adds depth and authenticity to the storytelling. The story also employs a cleverly structured ending that revisits the peculiar incident involving the stolen Whopper and the naked man, tying the narrative together with a touch of humor and reflection on the power of nostalgia over our favorite eateries. However, it's important to note that the story contains elements of humor that may be seen as unconventional or potentially offensive to some readers due to the use of nudity and absurd situations. Ensuring that humor doesn't inadvertently marginalize or offend any audience is essential. Overall, your story combines humor with the introspective moments effectively, creating an entertaining narrative that explores the unexpected ways in which our love for certain foods and eateries can impact our lives.
Oh, my God.
So if you're not that aware of how AI works, I literally pasted that and got that back in like a second.
A second.
I really feel heard and like they listened to me, and I know they didn't.
But how creepy is it that they can come up with it that quick?
Wild. But it was all very complimentary, and I say thank you, ChatGPT.
And I actually kind of loved the part where they were like, however, this humor, I loved that part a lot too, because that's what we're going for. So like, that's fine.
But if I was like writing a speech that I was going to be giving at a wedding and they said that, I would be like, you know what, chatty boy, we're going to make some revisions. And I could just say, can we revise out the part that you find offensive?
Yeah.
And they would say, oh, here are some different choices I'd go with. Now, of course, I'm not going to do that to you guys and like use my writing and let AI do it for me because that just kills it for me. But I like having the high-powered grammar checker. It's like I have an English teacher sitting with me, which is very nice.
I used it a tiny bit when I was doing my last murder mystery, nothing creatively, but just to get things done way faster. But yeah, I would never do that for writing our stories, but how hysterical to get feedback from that.
I should have said, would they give it out of 5 stars? Like, what would you give it? But then I would be really fighting for their approval, and then that would be hard.
And honestly, Trevin, I don't want you to give ChatGPT that much power over you.
You're right.
You got to keep some of it, buddy. You got to.
Yeah.
So I hope that everyone out there is just having the best week. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to trust AI to just do it all.
Bye.
AI says, see ya.
Are you hungry yet? Go grab a bite to eat, and thanks for listening to our show.
And what's your long distance restaurant? Find us on social media and let me know. Find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or Threads. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have any true petty crime stories about driving big old trucks, send them our way. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And give us the same thing Paul saw after he got his head knocked around with those big old titties. Stars, stars, stars. Give us 5 of them wherever you rate podcasts. Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods.
I'll blow a kiss in a manly way.
That's funny.
Is that how the men do it, Trevin?
What? I like your idea of how a man does that.
I'm trying my best.